Following on from this week's episode, towards the end, I did say I was going to share something pretty close to heart. I have a letter that I've sat on for a while, which is an open letter to the NDIS. This is for any family who's going through it. So if you do have family or a loved one, relative, whatever it may be, friends, please do share this. I think it's becoming a bit of a crisis for families throughout Australia. And I've read and researched some shocking stories, some that have brought me to tears, of families who have gone to the most unimaginable lengths, including, taking their own lives or their kids' lives because the pressure and the funding that keeps getting cut continuously without any notification has just become too much for them. Before I start, though, I do want to say that the people who do care for our son, the providers, are fantastic. They love and nurture him and give him such a wonderful experience every time. So I want to thank them. And this isn't a direct attack at them. It's not an attack at all, really. It's just from lived experience and surrounding an issue that I think is greater than a lot of us come to imagine. And it gets pushed to the side a lot. And like I said, living it is extremely difficult and taxing, especially when it's for your kids. So I just sort of make note of that before I start. So this is my open letter to the NDIS, and it's for all the families who are tired of fighting to be believed. This letter is not written for sympathy. It is written for families across Australia who have lost faith in a system that was meant to support them and instead requires them to repeatedly justify their child's reality. It is written for parents who know that the most exhausting part of caring for a child with complex needs is often not the disability itself, but the system that surrounds it. What does eligible disability mean in real life, as the NDIS would ask? I'm a father to a child with an extremely rare genetic condition called SENS, S-E-N-S, scalp, ear, and nipple syndrome. SENS is not widely known because there are very few documented cases worldwide, but rarity does not mean mild, temporary, or negotiable. In our case, SENS affects my son's face, vision, and his overall development. He was born without eyelids, meaning his eyes cannot close to protect themselves both day and night. That single fact shapes every day of his life. It means constant exposure of his eyes, multiple eye drops every day on the hour without exception, ongoing risk to his vision, and continuous monitoring to prevent damage. His vision is impaired. He has facial differences. His care is not episodic. It is constant. This is not something that improves with time. It is something we manage every day to preserve his quality of life. So please tell me how my son does not have an eligible disability. The diagnosis didn't come first, but the crisis did for us. We did not receive his diagnosis at birth. It took almost 2 years before we had clarity about what we were dealing with. In that time, our son underwent multiple surgeries along with countless medical procedures. During one surgery, he suffered a stroke and after that was placed into an induced coma for a length of time. Each of these events added new layers of complexity to his care, physically, neurologically, and emotionally. These are not abstract milestones. They permanently change his needs, his trajectory, and our family's life. Yet despite this reality, we are repeatedly asked to justify whether his disability is eligible in your eyes. I want to know when medical reality is overridden and how it becomes overridden. We have provided evidence from doctors, surgeons, specialists, and hospital care teams, the people who know our child and carry responsibility for his safety and have since he was born. Yet their recommendations are constantly overridden by your system and by people who work within your system. One rejection included the statement, every child would love a playground, and every child would love a shade sail. That sentence was used to dismiss a clinically supported request. It reframes disability support as indulgence and ignores medical context entirely. I do agree every child would love a playground. I do agree every child would love a shade sail. But not every kid doesn't have eyelids like my son, and it should be treated as a case-by-case basis. You have instability built into your system. Every interaction with the NDIS feels like starting again. A different person, a different interpretation, and a different outcome. Supports approved 1 month are questioned the next. Purchases families were told were acceptable become battles for reimbursement, time and time again. There's no continuity, no shared understanding, and no accountability from your system and your organisation whatsoever. You use reassessment as a weapon. My son's condition is lifelong. It will evolve through surgeries, recovery, and long-term impacts. Yet families are required to repeatedly reprove permanence through endless letters and referrals. This process is exhausting for the parents, the medical care team, and very damaging for the children, as it forces them to relive what is wrong with them simply to access the support they require. Unused funding becomes misread, and families then pay for it. Unused funding is often treated as evidence of reduced need, when in reality it reflects medical realities and system delays. Disability does not operate on neat timelines, something that I thought the NDIS would understand. Punishing families for this reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of disability and care. Because of the level of care required, my wife is unable to go back to work, as many families around Australia would know and understand also. This forces a single income, long hours, missed appointments, and missed time with our children, not by choice, but by necessity, and something that you don't even take into account, and you strip away the humanity from human beings to fatten your own pockets. Why do genuine families feel targeted while rotting continues within your system? The Australian National Audit Office has cited NDIA estimates that between 6 to 10% of total NDIS spending is lost to fraud, non-compliance, and payment error, equating to $2 to $3.5 billion in a single year, with projections rising to as much as $6 billion annually if left unchecked. The NDIS Fraud Fusion Task Force has confirmed it investigated over $1 billion in NDIS payments in the first year alone. At the same time, tens of thousands of participant decisions are appealed or reviewed each year, with a significant proportion overturned, meaning the original decisions made by the people within your organisation that affected families were wrong. This letter is not about anger, it is about reality. Quality of life should not be optional. Children with complex needs should not have to wait while their childhood and their lives pass by. Enough is enough. This needs to get better, and it has to get better. Signed by a parent speaking from lived experience, and on behalf of families across Australia too tired to keep explaining, advocating, and reassessing their child's permanent needs. Thank you.